Hey everyone, it's Anna. Welcome to my garden. I thought I would do a quick update here. It's June 1st, so let's go ahead and take a look inside now that we've looked at that gorgeous peony there by the garden gate. So inside the garden, you can see the beds are starting to fill in nicely. The strawberry bed here at the front looks great. So there are some beds that still have some open planting space, but for the most part, the beds are pretty much planted for the season. So here are the 9 raised beds. They're 4 by 8 foot raised beds. And then I also have a 2 foot by 16 foot row of blueberries in the garden as well. So let's go ahead and take a closer look here. The strawberry plants are actually starting to set fruit, which is fun. I think in a couple of weeks, at least, I'll be able to start picking some red strawberries. So that'll be nice. This bed also has all kinds of little volunteer pansies in here too, all different colors. So they really went crazy last year reseeding themselves. So here you can see one of the berries that'll soon be ripe. And then here's another little cluster as well, next to a weed I need to pull. So hopefully I'm able to get lots of berries this year and keep the little birdies from getting them. The second bed has some large tomatoes in it, and then there's some purple opal basil there in the front. And the back half of this bed is mostly open for planting. I'm just waiting for those tulip leaves to die off a little bit. But this big open space here is ready for me to plant in. And then there's some little radishes up here in the front and some sage that I let come back every year. But those radishes will soon be harvested, and then those tulip leaves will eventually die off, and I'll be able to plant in that end of the bed as well. And you can see the water hose is just kind of scattered. Those 2 pots at the end of the rows there have peas in them. And then this bed has some allium there at the end, has a volunteer sunflower I see. There's some peas, a beautiful row of spinach, another cute little pansy, and then a row of French breakfast radish. So those will be coming out probably this week. And I did spot the first pea flower starting to form too, so it won't be too long before I get some peas. That'll be nice. And then the back side of this bed, you can see the peas on the trellis there. This is my sparsely germinated carrots, and then I did pop some cosmos and some celosia at the end of the bed, just a couple plants. But you can see still no germination there in the center of the bed. At these 2 little pots here, I put some cosmos, and then I put some billiards zucchinis. They're like a little round baseball-sized zucchinis. So I put those in those pots. And then this is the view that I usually take one of the photos of the garden from, the far corner. I just love the bed view from here. So this is the middle row. This bed has rows of carrots. There's some beautiful rows of lettuce coming in. And then I have a row of snapdragons, a row of some purple kale, a row of some lunchbox sweet peppers, some bush beans, and then some flowers. And I'm on my second planting of cucumbers. I think I'm probably going to have to get another planting in there. The cool spring weather has just been kind of troubling for the cucumbers. But look how beautiful this lettuce is. This is a Bauer lettuce mixed with dragon tongue lettuce, I think. This middle bed has some volunteered bachelor buttons in it, and then I planted some specialty zinnias here in the front. And the back half of the bed is still open and yet to be planted. And then the bed up here by the gate, this one is mostly planted as well. It has some specialty zinnias in the front there. Then there's a double row of cherry tomatoes. I think we're going to have cherry tomatoes coming out of our ears here this year. And I'm going to have to stay up on top of these these plants and make sure that they stay nice and pruned. Otherwise, they're going to get really out of control. And then I have more purple opal basil there in the front. These are some new marigolds that I'm growing this year. I started these from seed. They are called Strawberry Blonde, and I think they're so cute. I love the variation in the colors that bloom on the plants. Here you can see another one in this pot of cosmos and a snapdragon or two. The little marigold in the front. Very cute. And then this is the third row of beds in the garden. This one, first one here, has Grandma's Garden Gate at the end there, and I interplanted snapdragons with some bower lettuce starts that I had, and I need to get picking these lettuces. They are gobbling up my snapdragons. So, but this lettuce is so crunchy and yummy. It's very, very good. And then you can see my decorative corn has come in nicely. And then there's some volunteer sweetmeat in this bed as well. And then I do have a row of celosia. And then in this bed I have some more cherry tomatoes because Lord knows we need more cherry tomatoes. The front portion of this bed is yet to be planted. I'll probably plant another round of lettuce in that one. But the cherry tomatoes look like they're starting to get their little flower clusters. So eventually we'll have cherry tomatoes to pick. That'll be fun. Here's another plant that's starting to form its flower cluster there in the top, in the middle. So all different kinds of cherry tomatoes planted this year. And then this is the last raised bed in the garden. This bed was where I had my cauliflower and broccoli, and every one of them bolted, so I pulled them out. And I decided this is going to be a flower bed, so I had some extra dahlia tubers, so I put them in here. There's 2 rows of dahlia tubers, and then there's 3 rows of specialty zinnias. So in this new area of the garden is where I've decided to plant some pumpkins. You can see that great big mound there. That's about 4 feet in diameter. And I've planted watermelons and cantaloupe on that mound. And then each of these individual mounds are various different pumpkin varieties or squashes, like honey nut or acorn. What else is in here? Lots of different pumpkin varieties. Some gourds even, and you can see they just keep going and going and going. So this was a lot of work. This has never had anything planted in it before, so I had to dig out these areas and add compost, and it was a lot of work. But this is a look at the perennial row. You can see it's coming in nicely, and then in this big wine barrel here I have some sweet peas that are going to be growing up on that little trellis. And then starts the cut flower beds. This is the first bed that I'm trialing without any weed barrier. And it has been a struggle to keep this one weed free, but we're doing our best. The next bed is snapdragons, and they're coming in nicely. They're starting to put some height on, and so I think they're going to fill in really nicely. I did pinch some of them back, about a third of them probably, so I'll be able to have some staggered blooms. The next row is my row of statice and scabiosa. So there's all different colors of statice in here, and at the end looks like there might be even some straw flowers and some scabiosa. This is kind of a variety bed. This is Sweet Annie, and it smells so good. This is a pathetic little patch of gomphrena. I actually am going to be pulling a lot of these plants because they are starting to put on blooms at about 2 inches. I just don't think they're appreciating the season, so I'm going to be replacing some of those plants and replanting them with some other starts that I have. And then this is some other just variety of plants as well. These are my zinnias that took a beating from the cold snap that we had. Again, this last week, it got down just at freezing. I had them covered, but the water on the blankets actually was frozen. So I think it was just a little cold for them. You also saw the row of more cosmos than one person needs. But they look great. And then I have a row of celosia, another row of zinnias there too, which actually looks better than the first row, which is good. And then I have some more straw flower here at the end. And then at the very, very end, I did have some other zinnias that I started, so I poked those in, and I had just 5 more plants that didn't have holes in the weed barrier, so I just planted them at the end. And then here are my rows of dahlias. They did not appreciate the cold weather we had, even though I did have them covered as well. So I can't believe we actually had a frost 2 nights this week, the last week of May. That's just crazy. And then the last row in the cut flower area is the sunflowers. You can see I have different successions of sunflowers planted there. I do believe I have 5 successions already. The last succession here is still underground. I just seeded it. But then you can see the previous one has just started to come up. And here you can look back and see all of the cut flower rows. So it's nice to see things growing. It feels like I've spent an eternity planting seedlings in the garden. And this open area here at the end of the rows, this is really nice soft soil. It wasn't tilled, but it was tarped over the winter, and it's really nice. So I'm actually going to be planting my zucchini in that open area. I'll just weed out some of those weeds and add some compost, and I think the zucchini will really grow nicely in there. And then the rest of that grass area that you saw that was mowed, that's where the pumpkin vines and squash vines and gourd vines and stuff like that will grow. And then this is a bed that's along the front edge of the garden fence on the inside, and I've just planted it with all different kinds of perennials. There's some yarrow, lots of rudbeckia, there's some echinacea in here, and then I did plant this drift of snapdragons around this 9-bark. And there's also some sedum. There's some mountain mint down there in the bottom. But these are all just little things that I started from seed. Some of them I had planted last year that came in really nicely this year. And so hopefully this fills in and is a nice perennial bed. There's poppies in here. There's liatris, white and purple liatris. And then this is feverfew. So, and then on the outside of the garden fence too, I have various different plantings. This is another row of mostly perennials. There's some poppies in that wine barrel, lots of rudbeckia, Indian summer, chimchimney, those kinds of things. And then there's intermixed poppies. There are more little pansies. There is a water issue in my container there I need to address. And then this bed also has some echinacea and things like that. And then that gorgeous peony in that pot at the end. So, and then one more bed here to show you. This used to be a strawberry bed. The deer so graciously ate all of the strawberries. So I decided I would plant marigolds and daisies in it. And then the next 2 beds that you see there that are completely being overtaken by grass, I was trying to turn those into raspberry beds. But the grass is just becoming way too invasive in there. So I'm going to have to completely dig those out. And then here you can see my wagon. I've had a bit of an issue this week with my wagon handle breaking. So it has led me to having a little bit more manual labor than I anticipated, moving all of those bags of compost and digging all that compost for the new pumpkin patches. So anywho, that's a look at the garden. Thank you so much for visiting. I hope you enjoy. And if you're a gardener and your garden is growing, I hope it's growing nice. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.